Testing, testing. I bet you can hear me. You can hear me now? Testing, hear me now? Okay, you got me now. That's good. Yeah, I got a whole new setup. I actually said this first. I got a whole new laptop, new monitor, and I had to hook everything up and redo everything, and it was a tech nightmare. And I feel... Oh, okay, good. Thank you for showing up, everybody. You guys are all awesome. Welcome to the end of the year 2023, Professor Matthews. Thank you. So 2023, here I put a, what's over here? This is my Substack. And I'm giving something away, but feel free to sign up for that. That gives you in your email reviews and other things I'm writing. I'm trying to work on a variety of things, but I put out a best movies of 2023 list, which quite honestly, and I don't care if you hate me or not, but let's be honest here. And I think most reviewers, all reviewers should be. If you can see this image, here is my list, year-end list that I wanted to get to. In the past several days, I've been working on this, trying to watch as many 2023 movies that I haven't seen as possible. Crossed a few off the list, but most of those are not available to me. I am not a big city person, and I cannot go see them. I guess I could see them illegally, but if anybody from the FBI is watching, I do not do that. You can check my... You could check my internet history. So only a couple of these I could watch, but I haven't. And there are several of these I want to go see. Fallen Leaves by Aki Kaurismäki has to be pretty good. I think at least 2 or 3 of these would make the final list. So the giant caveat here is, of those movies right there, I'm not going to put them on the list because I have not seen them. Frankly, I'm not a full-time new movie reviewer. That's not what I do. It doesn't pay the bills. So I do new movies when I can. And I thought I did quite a few, as many as I could. So let's go through here and see. And first of all, you guys should give me your list. What are your favorite 2023 movies? What came out this year that blew your mind, that you thought was an awesome visionary audiovisual experience, so on and so forth. And feel free to make that list right now, before I get going. Then you can compare, then you can get recommendations from me. Frankly, that's all this list is for, good recommendations for you. What could you watch? What haven't you seen? And then you hear me and you can judge for yourself whether you want to see it or not. So if you want to chat, go ahead and put whatever movies you want down there. I'd be happy for that. And to see your end list and to see what I haven't seen, maybe what I haven't even heard of. Because that's really interesting to see that. Poor Things blew me away. Already, I've heard good things about that. I know it's a science fiction movie too, so I'm all over that when it comes out. Available to me. Substack right here, sign up. My Letterboxd account right here, sign up, enjoy. I will look at your stuff if you follow me. And let's go over the first movie. I have many movies. I'm going to do a top 10 if I can remember where I'm at in this list. And then I'm going to do some honorable mentions within the top 10. Top 10. Number 10, Spider-Man. Comic book movie, superhero movie, and ordinary plot in a lot of ways in that sense. So if you don't like comic book movies, superhero movies, you shouldn't see this, except if you like good, fascinating movie art. The visuals in this are outstanding, although I can only take about 45 minutes of this movie at a time. And if you read my Letterboxd write-up, I say why. It is too fast, too loud sometimes. And there are moments in this movie where they do great work cinematically. I think any great movie maker would like parts of this movie at least. And as a comic book movie, I think it was really fun. But again, I watched this movie over 2 days. I knew what it was going to do to me, and so I split it up over 2 days, and that worked pretty well. It's not the completion of a story. It gives you a cliffhanger at the end. But I think a lot of young people love this. Just look at that Letterboxd chart down there. My goodness, look at how many people give it 5 stars. Way more than give it any other rating. So all the young people on Letterboxd love this movie. And that may be the reason you need to see it, is because you might get more in touch with young people. So as a professor, I got to know a little tiny bit about what 18 to 22-year-olds like. So I went and saw this a few days ago. Another one I liked, not as acclaimed, but I liked it after I watched it. Watching it was an interesting experience, and maybe that's the problem. The first time through, when you don't know it's coming, and then you see it, and then you go, what's that? I don't think this will hold up necessarily all the way through on a second viewing. I think the movies I showed you one of these is going to supplant this movie. But I thought this was an interesting science fictional movie from A24. I don't know the director at all. I will now get acquainted. Nicolas Cage is obviously in it as the schlubbiest person I have ever seen in a movie. There's very few men in movies that are just as kind of pathetic as this guy. I love that he has my name. He looks like one of my uncles. I think I'm starting to look like him. He's a professor. So then I'm having, there's a couple of movies where old professors are involved here. I'll just probably show you another one in a minute. But it's an interesting movie in a lot of ways about a lot of different things. It mixes 50 topics, and that's the kind of thing I usually dig, is how an art experience and artwork blends a lot of topics together. This one was quite interesting. It's worth a try for a number of you. I would go read the plot summary or a little bit of the plot, and then go try it. So the next one, this is the same as Dream Scenario. Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. When I saw this in the movie theater, I wasn't digging it, vibing with it as I was watching it. But I do love the aesthetic of it. That's because I love the American West, the desert places out there. The color scheme. I won't go into the plot. You can look at the ratings. It's basically the same ratings, letterboxed wise, as Dream Scenario. And I've loved the French Dispatch. I love from Wes Anderson. I like this movie a lot too. It's a thoughtful movie, but I had to reflect on it a lot. So you can read my write-up on it. And those are just my feelings about it. I think it has a lot of interesting things to say. I'm going to say this, don't get mad at me. Wes Anderson continues to be the whitest director in the world. I mean, white culture, upper class elite culture, he loves to depict it in a wide variety of ways, and this movie just continues that. It doesn't have all white people in it. I'm just saying he likes stuff of white people. So that's my observation, and it continues on right here. All right. That was number 8. Now we're on to honorable mentions. I would love to put this in my top 10, and I might later on, because I feel like this movie by one of my favorite directors, Alexander Payne, it is really good by the end. And I think if I watch it a second time, I will like it better. I think I have to get used to it. Now, one of my problems with it has 0 surprises in it. Well, almost 0. I mean, if you've seen a number of movies with the characters who are types here, they all are in a boarding school over Christmas break, and they have to stay there. It's a grand hotel movie in which 3 different characters come together and they bond over their differences, and they each have 2 flaws, and you know that their 2 flaws are going to get fixed or addressed in the movie. You can see in the first 30 minutes what it's setting you up to see later on in the movie, and I don't know if you're attentive, watching closely and carefully, there are no surprises. So I don't like that. I really like to be surprised. I like variation on a formula, if you're going to have a formula. I think it's overly long, too, and that's why I'm not putting it in the top 10. But I thought the ending was well-earned, and I thought it did pretty well frankly, on my profession. Because the history teacher in it, played by Paul Giamatti, who looks a little too much like me at this point, some of his struggles are actually real today. This movie takes place in 1970, but I just kind of I felt it quite hard what he was going through in a lot of ways. But yet, this is a nostalgic movie. From the very beginning, it looks like it's old grainy film stock and the Miramax logo and all that. So I love Payne. I think all of his movies are very good to great. So he didn't disappoint me here. He did do things that he normally does. Annoying waitresses, Buddy Road Trip, you know, and I got an Alexander Payne video coming out in a couple weeks on my channel. So I did not include this movie, but this movie would fit right into everything I'm saying in that movie. Another honorable mention, which you have not seen, most of you, because it hasn't come out yet. It's coming out next week on Netflix. Society of the Snow. This is about the famous plane crash, I think in the Andes Mountains, as the Uruguayan rugby team is going to Chile, and they crash. And you may remember, if you're old enough like me, the movie Alive with Ethan Hawke back in 1993 depicted the same event. That movie was about the same thing, and famously it has people eating each other, and, well, they're eating dead people, because that's the only thing they have to survive. I thought this was a great movie. I liked it as a survival movie. I thought it was thoughtful and interesting and put you in the setting and scenario. So I'm going to review this later on. You'll see a video on this later on my channel. Substack review. I did like this movie. I'm going to give it a recommend. And that's why I'm putting it here in honorable mention. Really? Am I going to do this? Man, that Letterboxd rating is crazy on this. I did not look at that. The second Puss in Boots. My kids are asking me to rewatch this, which is always a good sign. My kids are pickier than me, believe it or not. But this one surprised me. I was in class one day, and several bros were in there talking about how they're going to go to Puss in Boots. And I'm like, why are you going to a kids' animated cat movie? And they just love this, or they ended up loving this movie. I can see why. This is a flashbang animated movie. It's like they gave a big budget to the flunky art kids in the movie studio and said, hey, go make the movie. And they did. And it has a lot of Spider-Verse-like stuff in it, which I kind of like some of that. And I love the Puss in, this sounds so stupid, the Puss in Boots confronting death in the movie. It is a great existential hero's journey kind of thing. So this was above the normal cut for me, and I did appreciate this movie. Wow, I can't believe that rating, but people are overrating things. Now here's another one. Now this looks like Dream Scenario in terms of the ratings. I love this movie. I don't see how, if you didn't like Mission Impossible, if you liked or loved Mission Impossible 5 and 6, 4, 5, and 6, which I think are the best three. This is the 7th one. It came out this summer. It came out before Barbenheimer, and I thought it was great once again, and they upped the stakes. They varied the scenarios. They had a crazy ending. It's typical cruise action movie stuff, which I thought was fun. I think they're doing great work once again, and maybe it was the title, the clunky title, also signaling that the movie is not going to, it's got 2 parts, so it's going to leave you hanging in the end. But I thought this was quite good, and seem to be in the minority. I think this is number 7 for me at this point. I'm putting it number 7. I thought this was very good. Say what you want. I mean, like silent movies. It's like a silent movie. The silent movie stunt sequences are awesome. All right. Now we're into the top 6. I believe these top 6 will survive. Most of them will. Into the future for a long while. So these other ones may go by the wayside, although I can see people watching Mission Impossible for a number of decades and being fine with it, although they're going to be confused as to which one to try in the year 2065. They're looking at the Mission Impossibles and going, which one do I watch? But these 6 are interesting. May, December. Everyone likes this movie as far as I can tell, although they're not sure to watch it. I think I watched it as a biting drama. And then I started reading around and going, oh, this is a satire? Yeah, I can see the camp and the satire in it. And then they nominated it for a Golden Globe in the Best Comedy category, which, quite honestly, I didn't laugh at this movie at all. I can see how it winks at you, but the subject matter is uber serious to me. And as I take the weirdo couple in the movie, you know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. I believe they're real. And then the actress comes along and is going to do she's going to imitate the woman in this, which, as you can see, the two of them right there in the picture. I thought this was serious. So I may need to rewatch this to see all the camp in it. But more of it, I should say. But no matter how you watch this, I think this watches well. It's on Netflix. I think it's time for some of you to get a 1-month subscription to Netflix and watch about 5 or 6 of the very good movies they've put out over the last 2 years. Now, I have zero income from Netflix saying that, and I've really hated them in a lot of ways. I don't like their UI, I don't like their algorithm, and I think they're bad at curating movies. But their studio has produced quite a few good ones in the last 2 years. That Society of the Snow movie I mentioned earlier, also on Netflix. So I think we're going to I think we've run into 2 or 3 from them. At least 2 on this list are from them. So it may be worth 1 month. Yeah, I'm looking at the comments. Pale Blue Eye is good. That could have been on my list as well, my honorable mention. I did like that earlier in the year. The Edgar Allan Poe mystery with Christian Bale. It was good. Okay, it's number 6. Maybe I should do a video on best Netflix movies and tell you what you could watch there. Now, this movie says 2022. So we're running into some problems, category problems. It says 2022 because it came out last year at festivals, a couple of foreign countries, European countries. But it was not widely released until this year. And so none of us could see it until this year unless you were in a special place in the world. Therefore, in my opinion, this is a 2023 movie. Okay, so I think when looking back, you're going to see a number of movies from 2021 even and 2022 that the bulk of the majority of us only had access to in this year. So we're having category problems. I think a number of best of lists will not consider a movie like this because it says 2022. I will, because I thought this was very good. I thought it was great. And well filmed, excellent. I'm going to be watching these directors for the next thing they do. This was on Criterion Channel. It may still be there. It's a thoughtful, perhaps ponderous movie about 2 men over the course of decades in their friendship. Italians, okay? Northern Italians. So go read my review of this. I think it's really well done. And I don't always like art house movies, as those of you who follow me know. I thought this was a good art house kind of movie. Speaking of European movies, this one could have been, there's a number of them that come out, and I don't like them. This one, really, really good. Why? If you've seen Anatomy of a Murder by Otto Preminger with Jimmy Stewart, George C. Scott, I think you're set up to watch this with a lot of profit. And that one was about, I think, a lot of things, but the U.S. Judicial system, a murder case in the 1950s. I like this movie for a number of reasons, and one of which is you get this similar kind of hard murder case. Who done it? Did she do it or not? The woman pictured there. Did she murder her husband or not? And that's, there's a trial in this movie, and you can see the 152-minute runtime. The trial lasts 90 minutes or so. And it's a great insight into, I guess, the French court system. She's German originally. She speaks English pretty well. Her French is not so good. Really interesting movie about language differences, because the French want to speak French in the courtroom. She's got a French lawyer, but she wants to testify in English. And that's one thing of many. It's a slow burn movie, but the perspectives in this are fantastic. If you watch this, how the director, Justine Triet, I don't know how to say her name, she sets up everything very well. And this is my favorite performance of the year. Sandra Hüller, I think is how you pronounce it. She looks like she walked onto the set and played herself. Of course, she didn't. She's a professional actress. I loved it. There are many. The prosecutor in this, who has the hardest acting job, in my opinion, because if you know Anatomy of a Murder, you know that George C. Scott is really arresting in that movie as the prosecutor. So whoever is the prosecutor in this movie has to do the George C. Scott dance, right? And the guy in this, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. I'll find it here. Antonio Reinartz? Don't know how to pronounce it. He's French, I think. Antoine Reinartz. He is fantastic. He gets it. He does it. So I was excited to see this movie, and I don't think I've seen a murder mystery movie do so much with so little. The case is seemingly straightforward. There's like 2 pieces of evidence. One thing happens, 2 pieces of evidence. Like, what could you get out of this movie? And they do it. The director does it for sure. So great job. This could be the best movie of the year, quite honestly. Arguably so. In fact, any of these top 3 or 4 or 5 could be the best movie. Killers of the Flower Moon, you know it. I agree with people on this. It's fantastic. It was worth the 3.5 hours in the movie theater. Scorsese, as an 80-year-old, 81, did some of his best work ever, in my personal opinion. It was fantastic. I'm going to look at the chat in a minute. Like Evan Patrick Adams is saying, he talked to Sandra Hüller. Right? I got to know more about that. All right, Killers of the Flower Moon is good. Watch it. You've heard a lot about it. It should have done better, but I'm glad that Scorsese made it because it's very good. Okay. It's time to defend myself. I put this in the top 3 or 4. It could be number 1. This was my favorite viewing experience of the year. I laughed a lot. I thought it was great in so many ways of depicting the paranoid. Joaquin Phoenix is outstanding, playing the paranoid man who, maybe some of it's in his head, some of it's the drugs he's taking, false guilt over not visiting his mother, and he, the fears of a city, the fears of other countryside, other places. It's so good. And Ari Aster, you know him from Midsummer. I don't know how to pronounce it. And Hereditary. This is not that movie. I think that probably disappointed some people. The ratings are low on this. I don't know why. That may be the case. It is a surprising movie all the way through. And that's one. I'm going to start hammering that one. It's one of the things, like, I've seen a lot of movies. And when I see a movie that says, here's what this is going to be, and then it surprises you over and over again in good artistic ways. This did it to me. I thought it was I took a Jewish American literature class. I've read a lot of Jewish American literature, frankly, a lot of 20th century American literature. And this is in conversation with 100 to 200 things. Oh, you didn't like it because it gets laughs out of someone else's suffering. I felt like I was suffering with him, and so the scenarios were funny. I didn't feel like I was laughing at him, because I understand the problem with paranoia and delusions for sure. I think that's actually, humanity has that problem. It's on a spectrum, right? This guy's got it worse than we do, probably, but I did not feel like I was mocking him ever. In fact, his fear of having sex, which I thought was handled spectacularly, it has a fantastic climax, no pun intended, and it's very funny. Ari Aster called it the Jewish Lord of the Rings. I'm reading the comments. That's actually pretty darn good. I had not thought about it that way. I got it. That's going to blow my mind. The Jewish Lord of the Rings. You may not like it. Half the people here may not like it. I don't care. I really thought it was great. And the last one, and this is a tough one. I have to defend this one too, is The Boy and the Heron. Because I think people are watching this in terms of Miyazaki's whole career, and they're going, well, this is like Spirit Away Part 2. This is like, Howl's Moving Castle. You name whatever movie he's made, and like, well, he's redoing it, and it's weird, and it's worse. What are the standards by which you watch a movie? And I think this movie will hold your standards up to you, and you need to self-reflect on them, as I try to do myself, quite honestly. I thought this movie had about 50 different aspects that blended magnificently. It's in the line of these biographical memoirs that a lot of directors have done lately. Kenneth Branagh did it with Belfast. Inarritu did it with Bardo, didn't he? I'm trying to remember. Cuarón did it with the what's the Mexican movie he made? The movie in Mexico City. And on and on and on. And here Miyazaki does it, probably either about himself or people he knew, with The Boy and the Heron, set in World War II. And I thought it was a boy's journey that turned into the Odyssey, that turned into a never-ending story, that turned into about 50 other things I had seen and watched and read. And the blend of that was magnificent. And I was surprised the whole way through, and I thought it was really good. Now, I don't have a real good way to judge whether The Boy and the Heron versus Spirited Away versus Princess Mononoke versus Castle in the Sky is best. Now, I don't know how to do that. I just enjoy watching them. Sometimes when I encounter these movies, I don't know what they're about. I frankly do not know. I cannot tell you what Spirited Away is really about. I don't think I know. It's fun to watch. This one, I think I can tell you many, many, many things about. I think I could walk into a class and talk about it for a week to 2 weeks easily right now without prepping for it. So for that reason, I feel like I understand it and I felt it, and my kids loved it, which helps me. And I thought it was very good. So there you go. That's my favorite movie of the year so far. It's at least the one out of all of these I would prefer to rewatch. So if I go through this, if I go this slowly, I go, which ones do I want to rewatch? I don't know. Most of them I want to rewatch. But, I'm universally in the mood for The Boy and the Heron above all these. I'd have to be in the mood for some of these other ones. So there you go. Question is, what were your favorite movies of the year? And, of course, I'm going to throw this up again. My caveat is, are any of these any good that I haven't seen? Poor Things, Fallen Leaves, Iron Claw, Zone of Interest. Not available for streaming yet. So there you go. Let me interact with the chat. A lot of people here. It's good. I hope your year was good. I hope it all worked out. I hope next year is even better. Let's look at this. I'm reading the chat. Okay, some of you put things up. Past lives. Yeah, I didn't put past lives in there. I thought past lives played around with character types that were familiar and didn't go beyond very simple character types. It has great looking cinematography. Past Lives is an A24 movie about two young Koreans, 11, 12-year-old boy and girl. The girl immigrates to America. They haven't seen each other for 15, 20 years. Then they catch up on Facebook. And then they meet, but she's got a guy. So a white American guy. So it's a love triangle. It's political. It's about immigration, etc. I thought it was too generic for me. But I didn't hate it. I just thought it was basic. And you could say that about The Holdovers. You could say that actually about several of my choices. So I don't mind, a judgment like that. And who knows, I may end up watching that again. So there was that one. And Godzilla Minus One I did not see. And I'm sorry I didn't, because I like monster movies. Okay. Oh, yeah. And I didn't mention Barbenheimer. I went through this and Barbie is Barbie, so you either like it or not. I thought it was a little juvenile. That's a nice way of putting it. In some places, I thought it was a little simple on the subject. Cultural study matters. We won't get into that. Oppenheimer was the interesting one because it has a lot of merit. I did like some of it. I ran into a problem, which I read the book before Oppenheimer. I wonder if I had read Killers of the Flower Moon and then watched the movie, would I feel less about it? Because then I'd be comparing and contrasting. Always a problem when you read the book before watching the movie. So that was a problem. And then I did not think the Amadeus stuff worked. I thought it was esoteric about 1950s politics. So maybe that was just me. As I said with Oppenheimer, I know that if I showed it in a classroom, I would have to spend an entire class period, 50 minutes, 75 minutes, whatever, reviewing the plot. Here's what happened. Because I know a number of my students would not understand it. And that's not the particle physics in it. It's not the 20th century physics. It's just politically what's going on with Robert Oppenheimer from the 1930s to 50s. So, whatever. A lot of people loved it. Great. Like you, I haven't seen other major contenders. Yep. I can rant about the delivery system. Since the 1990s, the internet has been available. Anyone, anywhere, instantly can get any movie. I did that in college in 1998. I got new releases before they came out in the movie theater in 1998 on the internet. I can tell you the movies that I watched, but then I hope there's a statute of limitations. The FBI does not knock on my door. Of course, you can do that now. And I live in a rural place. I've got to drive 2 hours to go to some of these movies. That's a lot of money. I will not do that. A lot of time. Why can't I download these instantly? Now, I know movie theaters, the business, blah, blah, blah. I'm just speaking as a customer of movies. Why can't I get them where I want them, when I want them? That's all. and I note that David Fincher has basically come out and supported that. He's on Netflix now. The Killer was his new movie this year, and he's saying these things about, yeah, we should make movies for streaming now, because that's the distribution system, and that's the way that people encounter movies, and they can get them instantly, etc. So if only Netflix had a much, much better... If only Netflix had A24's, script selection and publicity, head of studios kinds of people. Anyway. Well, yeah, Wes Anderson's series of short films. Isn't that on Netflix too? I think that came out this year. Yeah, that was good. Excuse me. Wolf, yeah, good. May December is not a comedy. I didn't laugh. I only have Netflix because the family wants it. Not a great service anymore. I was reminiscing because I have twins. They turned 15 today. And I remember this vividly. I had the DVD, Blu-ray service, whatever it was, 15 years ago. They were born. And so my wife and I were taking shifts. And I would take the, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. And I would feed them their bottles and so on and watch Netflix. And that was when the streaming service was added for free to the DVD by the mail service. You could get both. And I remember feeding them, holding 2 bottles, and watching stuff on the Netflix streaming. And that, I know it started 15 years ago or so. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. And so you're watching it with your family. And I think 5 years into it, a bunch of things changed for them, and their algorithm is stupid, and their UI is pretty bad. It's hard to find movies on that service. They try to do it for you, and I think it's a failure. All right, rant over. Evan, who's great, Evan Patrick Adams, follow him on Letterboxd. I really like his stuff. Saw the premiere of Anatomy of the Fall at Telluride. Got to talk to Sandra Hüller. Justine Triet kept switching languages during the Q&A, which made her producers freak out. Kind of felt like the movie. Yeah, that's fantastic. That movie, Anatomy of the Fall, must have some political things about France and Germany that I frankly don't understand. But it's got to have even more intricacies than what I can see. It at least speaks to me as a Midwest American middle-aged guy. But I'm sure it's really interesting if you were French or German or in Europe too. Maybe even more so. People like Oppenheimer. People are mixed on Beau is Afraid. Of course they are. Hate Beau is Afraid. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna... Some people hate it. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I saw that it was on a bunch of year-end lists. I can't tell if that's any good. The book is for... It's a YA book. It's kind of beyond me. I mean, should I read the book? Isn't that for adolescent girls? But is the movie for anybody? Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I don't know. It came out. Dr. David, I'm sure you understand film is a different medium to literature. It shouldn't be compared. Well, that's true, except we do the comparisons all the time. Book, movie. I mean, you read the old reviews, you read the new reviews. People who've read the book will... Or for Maestro, for example, the life of Leonard Bernstein, the actual biography stuff, versus, what's in the movie. The comparisons are going to happen. Of course, the film should be judged on its own in its own medium. However, there is narrative overlap. So most films are narrative films, and since they have that strong narrative component to them, they're going to overlap quite a bit with the books. And that's why sometimes I say, well, I like the book better, read the book. I usually do that when I feel like the book is way stronger on the narrative elements and the movie is weaker on. I thought that's not the case with Oppenheimer, though. In Oppenheimer, he takes 2 sentences in the book and then he wildly blows them up out of proportion. They're way out of scale. So then he cherry picks things in the book, and that was some of my problem with it. I thought anyway, whatever. But I didn't like the book, quite honestly, of the Oppenheimer biography. It's like 90% politics about a physicist. I have not seen Poor Things. Godland. Oh, okay. So watch Godland if you want. I did not. Let's put that up here. I did not put that on my year-end list. I reread my review of it, and I thought, yeah, it's got really great, pretty pictures. And here we go with another 2022 movie, really 2023, though. It's about the first person, Danish priest who goes to Iceland. He's the first person to ever photograph Iceland in the 19th century. It's a godforsaken wasteland. It's like a disturbed missionary movie. You've seen these: Silence, The Mission, Black Robe. It's very familiar in that way. The priest is up against the landscape he can't understand, but there are people there too. It is like, I think I said this is like Werner Herzog took depressants, and then made a film, which, if you know Herzog, he does not need depressants. he needs the opposite. His films sometimes do. So, I love Herzog, by the way. He's got a new memoir. Check it out. But Godland is good if you're into like really slow, sour stuff. So try it for its cinematography. Yeah, a number of people like it. It's great. I will talk about Interstellar one day. In fact, I am showing that in class this coming semester for the first time. So that's probably the opportunity for me to talk about Interstellar. 3 films I hope people go to see this year. Oh, that's great. I haven't seen AC Dragon Rider. I've not seen this. Kidnapped, Bike Riders, Peasants. Yeah. Good. This is very good. What are my thoughts on... Okay, just a couple more questions. What are my thoughts on Howl's Moving Castle compared to the others? I actually like both. I like the book and I like the movie. I thought the movie is gorgeous looking, and I roll with the audio-visual stuff in that movie. I think it's very good. I can't judge the characters' development and where they go, and is this like other anime, and what does this connect to other anime? I feel like the anime people watch these movies differently than I do, which is fine and good. I am not an anime expert at all, not even close. I know almost nothing about it. Therefore, I watch this on my own. I usually say, like, okay, European folktales, children's literature. These are the ways I enter Miyazaki best, and I think that's how he's cross-cultural. So I like Howl's Moving Castle. I like them all. I like Ponyo. I can watch any of them right now. Put them all in front of me. The ones I like best are Castle in the Sky and Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind, and then The Boy and the Heron. For whatever reason, I just connect with those. Okay, so those are the 3, but the others are quite good too. Students, boom, boom. Yeah, didn't like Interstellar, which is fine. I can see why people do not like Interstellar. Its possible flaws are very obvious. I've not seen Saltburn. In fact, here's another 2023 movie people are talking about, and I was kind of warned off on it by all the people I follow. Look, I can't remember who's who out of the picture list, but I read some of these. I kind of know different perspectives from the people I follow. Some people I know personally, some people I just follow on Letterboxd. I'm like, everybody has a big problem with Saltburn, but different big problems with it. Why should I even try this movie? I have no idea what this movie is about. Oxford University students. No idea. So maybe I should try it. Watch list. There we go. But I don't know anything about it. I've been warned off by a lot of different people. Now, a couple of great questions here. We keep going. What do I teach? I teach ancient literature. I teach science fiction. I teach business writing. I teach American literature, early and late. And I teach film. I'm definitely missing. I teach Renaissance Italy, Italian Renaissance, and Dante. That's basically the whole of human history, at least in Western civilization. So there you go. But I teach film, and I love talking about new movies. And then this other one. What should win Best Picture? That was the one I wanted to get to. Yeah, I was one of the reasons I'm doing this task, going through these movies, is I was curious when the Oscars come out what I'm going to want to win out of this group. And we know, well, I think we know what's going to win. We know that Killers of the Flower Moon will be nominated. That is, I'm sure the odds on that are so bad, you're not going to make any money off of betting on this to get an Oscar nomination for Best Picture and Best whatever else. But all the other ones, I don't know. I don't think they'll nominate most of the ones I put up here. Will Barbie be nominated? That will be interesting to see. Will they actually nominate Barbie? I have no earthly idea. Oppenheimer is a guarantee. But there's 8 other spots after Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon because they have 10 of them. So at that point, which of them would I want to win? What do I want to signal to the future? Hey, this was the best movie of the year. Maybe Spider-Verse will be nominated. But I holdovers might, because Hollywood does love pain. I really don't know. At this point, I don't know. I think I'm going to have to watch a few of those other ones when they come out before the Oscars happen. The other ones meaning, again, my list again, a few of those, and then we will see. And, some of these are going to be international films that won't get the light of day. My thinking is that the Best Picture list will be good this year, and it will be much better than in past years when you had Green Book win. Green Book. When you had that Fish movie win. Sorry to insult it. It's just The Shape of Water. I mean, I would like almost any of my top 10 to beat those two movies, quite honestly. So I think whatever is going to be nominated is probably going to be worthwhile. Barbie wins it all this year. And that'll be the fall could, but it may be too foreign and too slow. I don't know. Because Hollywood liked Parasite, obviously. But it's got to be something like that where it's accessible to people. It kind of is zippier than these slow burn movies. Okay, yeah, if Everything Everywhere wins, then Barbie is closest. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So we can't I can't speculate beyond that, but because I haven't thought about it, I'm just thinking out loud right now. Yeah, Maestro probably will get a Best Picture nominee. As much as I didn't care for that movie, it's okay. But it has some merit to it as far as the direction. So, probably. 2023 is on par with 2007. What the heck was in 2007? Now I'm curious. I don't remember offhand what was. Do you have any philosophy or book recommendations for young filmmakers who want to know a little bit more about philosophy and religion? Oh my gosh. Really? Oh gosh. That's a whole topic in and of itself. I mean, how much do you need to know? Now, Werner Herzog's recommendation to filmmakers, do you know what it is? Werner Herzog, he says, if you want... I'm reading his memoir right now. It's amazing what he says in there. He doesn't say what I'm going to tell you right now. He says, he does say, all you need to know about filmmaking is in like a Wikipedia page on filmmaking. He doesn't quite say it that way, but it's like if you get a basic filmmaking book in the first 30 pages, that's all you need to know. and then you just go do it. So I don't know if that's true, but then he says, filmmakers, what do you need to do to be a good filmmaker? Read. I don't know why. I have some hunches as to why, but he said, and I wonder if that's a good recommendation. But the question I had there, the question that was asked, Oh, I'm not seeing it. Your username. Sorry, I can't find it there. I should. Your username. Thanks for asking the question. Question is, what do you read? I think it's a good question. Maybe I should draw up a book list, although it wouldn't be definitive. It'd just be suggestions. Thanks for getting me into Rouge. That movie was a masterpiece. Absolutely. 80s Hong Kong movie. Very good movie. Yeah. So you can find my stuff on Letterboxd, and you can, when I hate a movie, you might realize you like it, or vice versa. I really like a movie, and then you go, oh, I would hate that because he likes it for these reasons. So I think that's the value of criticism, quite honestly, is that you get to know somebody and you kind of know their preferences, and then you can judge yourself. And hopefully you're getting, hopefully you're getting hopefully you're getting good recommendations here. I'm loving these comments, though. What about Dune Part 1? Well, Dune Part 2 didn't come out this year, so we're waiting on that. But you like the novels and the movie. Okay, well, that's great. I recommend 1984, the book, absolutely. You have to read 1984 because it is the most cited fictional novel in the last 100 years, probably, in the entire world. Okay, it's in the top 5. And I've taught it so many times. If you just look up how many topics people attach to that book, it is insane, and it changes constantly. So 1984 is a good foundation for understanding how people perceive the modern world. And I'm going to talk about how you should perceive the modern world, like how other people perceive it. So yes, read it, because you will have access to how the artworks deal with it. And I'm constantly talking about it. Good job. All right. Well, that's enough. This has been great. Have a great end of the year. Enjoy the new year. And I hope watching some of these movies is fun for you. Fantastic. And let me know somehow in the comments what you liked, what you don't like. Follow us. Look at these people. They're great on the chat. Follow them on Letterboxd too. Substack, subscribe to that, Discord, and all that. Thanks. Have a great new year. See you later.